Monoantherans are unique bipedal creatures from Thalassian, lacking front limbs and characterized by distinctive rear limb structures and split mandibles. Though their origins are unclear, they appear related to other Thalassian fauna like Tromobrachids and Titans, potentially linking them to primitive herbivores on the mainland. Despite the stark differences between Thalassian fauna and their mainland counterparts, certain familiar body types, like the snake-like sprog crawlers, have also evolved on this isolated landmass. Naturally, Thalassian snakes have given rise to Thalassian snake-eaters, specifically two species of Ophictonos that mirror the Pescidont sprog probers by hunting serpent-like prey with the spear-like, disjointed lower jaws of their first heads. These solitary hunters impale their prey on their lower jaws, then retrieve and eat it with their agile, trunk-like second heads. During food-scarce seasons, groups of Ophictonos venture into jungles or to the edges of wildfires to capture prey escaping the flames. Male Ophictonos, also known as mikados, perform a unique courtship ritual during mating season to impress females. They gather sticks and arrange them near their nests, flipping the sticks into the air with their spear-like jaws when a female appears. Enthralled by this display, females join in the stick-flipping activity, and mating ensues after an indeterminate period of this playful ritual. This behavior, while amusing, highlights the subtle crossover between play and courtship in nature. The role of giant herbivore on Thalassia is primarily filled by Titaniformes, yet monoantherians also compete for this niche with the massive Eucursor gargantum. These towering creatures possess incredibly long, muscular tongues extending from their second heads, nearly as long as their bodies, which allow them to reach and feed on the tallest trees, a feat no titan can achieve. This browsing ability requires specialized adaptations, including powerful muscles for head extension, supportive cartilaginous struts, and unique blood and hydraulic vessels to stabilize and power this impressive structure. Eucursor gargantum also has distinctive skin flaps around its first head, a feature rare among egg-laying monoantherians. Although it lays eggs like others in its group, these skin flaps and a gular sac enable the Eucursor to carry and protect its eggs after laying. Females typically hatch 2, occasionally 3, young that remain with them until they can forage independently. After the renowned sea rex, the slender and towering Volugnathus ranks as Thalassia's second-largest predator. Primarily an ambush hunter, it conceals itself within forest undergrowth, springing forward in quick, powerful bursts to take down prey with a brutal strike from its sturdy, axe-shaped upper jaw. Its lower jaw, delicate, disjointed, and highly mobile like the spears of the snake-eaters, assists in skinning and dismembering its kills before they are ingested using its trunk-like second head. Though it mainly preys on herbivorous monoantherans and forest-dwelling titans, Volugnathus also eats smaller animals and scavenges carrion. Despite its size, Volugnathus is lightly built and avoids direct combat with other predators, opting to flee unless it can strike by surprise. For additional defense, males can spray a thick, irritating fluid from glands beneath their first head jaws. Interestingly, this sticky secretion is a modified form of semen, containing dead sperm cells produced outside the mating season, a defense also seen in Haplobrakid and Cytognaths. The dozen or so species of bounderjaws dominate Thalassia's herbivore population. These animals display a unique mix of ancestral and specialized traits, with their legs powered by piston-like hydraulic muscles that store and release energy, propelling them forward in leaps. Although they retain rudimentary front limbs, these exist only as small, folded flaps along their sides. While larger bounderjaws are typically solitary, Therizinorhynchus merrilisi roams the plains in groups of up to 20, foraging for fruit-bearing shrubs and succulent-leaved trees. Unlike many other herbivores, bounderjaws lack the complex digestive systems needed to consume sprog, indicating a relatively primitive lineage. The Titaniformes, an unusual group of bipeds, dominate Thalassia's herbivorous niches, with fossil evidence suggesting they evolved over the past 35 million years. They feature unique adaptations, such as digestive systems housed within extended necks of their second heads, allowing for powerful hydraulic support systems in their rear bodies that facilitate massive bodies in large species and impressive jumping ability in smaller ones. Alongside the monoantheran pistonopodid bounderjaws, the egg-shaped, long-tailed Uzoan skipbirds like Zaptorhynchus are some of Thalassia's most recognizable herbivores. With over 60 species adapted to various regions, most ozoans are relatively small, rarely larger than an adult human, and account for 2/3 of all Titaniform species on the continent. Inhabiting thalassious hills and misty mountain forests, Zaptorhynchus coheni is a shy herbivore that flees at the slightest sign of danger. Its rear body is equipped with an advanced hydraulic system, more developed than that of similarly sized mainland species, enabling Zaptorhynchus coheni and other ozoans to perform the sudden, bounding leaps that have earned them the nickname skipbirds. Measuring 6 meters in length, Zaptorhynchus europhora stands as the largest member of its genus and the largest of all ozoan Titaniforms, far from the skippy nature of its smaller relatives. These hefty herbivores travel across the Thalassian plains in family groups of 3 to 5, using their robust, munching second heads to grind down various local plants. Protected from predators like Tromobrachids and Volognaths, they wield powerful tails capable of delivering a forceful swing that can drive foot-long spikes into the limbs of any would-be attacker. Titaniforms rely solely on their second heads for feeding, leaving their first heads available for elaborate sexual displays, resulting in a variety of strikingly adorned species. Among the most unusual are Dermastoma, a rare forest-dwelling genus with rigid, cauldron-like bodies and, in males, colorful, flap-like genital displays across their first heads. During the mating season, males develop vivid flaps on their first head jaws and engage in fierce flag-tearing contests and showy head-bobbing displays to attract females. Competing males try to tear each other's flags while impressing potential mates. Females favor those with the brightest, intact flags. At the season's end, the male's flags shed naturally, and the forest returns to quiet. This large Magnotaran Titaniform also possesses a prominent skin flap, though unlike its Dermastomon relatives, this display lies between its two heads, remains year-round, and is present in both males and females. With a long, stork-like beak primarily used for preening its striking skin sail, this creature exemplifies a typical medium-sized Magnodire. Living solitary lives, individuals sometimes communicate with distant neighbors through melodic, resonant calls that echo across the bluish-gray sprog plains of southern Thalassia. Researchers are investigating whether these haunting songs carry specific messages, while to the inhabitants of SNAIAD, they contribute to the surreal, otherworldly atmosphere of Thalassia. Known as the legendary Magnodire, this massive creature is the largest land animal on Thalassia and a defining symbol of the continent. Upon their discovery, these animals were dubbed Titans, which led to the naming of the entire group as Titaniformes. In this species, the long second head found in all Titaniforms has evolved into a drawn-out, bridge-like structure, while the interhead sail, originally for display, now also serves as structural support, strengthened by tendons. The body has been adapted with a rigid ventral skid and a thickened backbone to support its impressive feeding apparatus, and unlike other Titaniforms, its tail is entirely absent. These colossal animals spend their days seated on their rear skids, grazing in large circles twice the width of their necks, but they are also capable of walking great distances and even running when threatened by large predators like Cerexes. Tromobrachids possess remarkable adaptations that make them a prime example of Thalassia's unique evolutionary path. Their second heads, fused with their sternums and front limbs, have developed the strongest jaw-like structures on SNAIAD, enabling them to bite, chew, and swallow from the same mouth, while their first heads have evolved into periscope-like organs for observation and grooming. Although fast, large, and powerful, their isolation on Thalassia has kept their species count low, with only about 7 known species, though fossil records indicate that aquatic Tromobrachids once existed. This smaller Tromobrachid, Amydromius, roams the hot interior of Thalassia, preying on pistonopodid bounderjaws and snake-eating mikados. As a pursuit predator, it relentlessly chases down its prey until it tires, and although individuals have been seen teaming up to hunt larger prey, this is simply due to overlapping interests rather than true pack behavior. Amydromius stands out among Tromobrachids with its unique features, such as a shaggy coat of enlarged hair, a very short neck, hyperextended chest keels, and movable claw-like teeth in its arm jaws. It has an unusual feeding habit of swallowing its prey whole, using its claw teeth to maneuver the carcass into its mouth. After feeding, it typically rests for several days before resuming its pursuit. Vomit piles, which contain indigestible parts of its prey, are common markers of Amydromius in Thalassia. Two species exist, one smaller and more brightly colored than the other. Weighing over a ton, Seisomopus ranks among the largest predators on SNAIAD. It typically hunts large titans and herbivorous monoantherans and has even been seen killing, though not eating, predatory volognaths nearly as large as itself. Despite its reputation as Thalassia's largest predator, Seisomopus is a fairly typical Tromobrachid, with its arms fused into powerful, crushing jaws. While its arm jaws are sturdy, they retain limited lateral movement and can open wide to engulf large prey. Two nostrils on each side of its arms create the unsettling appearance of eyes and contribute to its distinctive, resonant stereo roar. Its first head features a prominent throat pouch used by females to carry their hard-shelled, boxy eggs, while males use the same space to store a large, flag-like genital fold. Unlike Tromobrachids like Amydromius, which have mobile and extendable arm jaws, Osteophagus has its arms fused into solid, bone-like jaws. The hydraulic muscles that close these jaws are anchored directly to the ventral skid, using the entire body for added strength. Unsurprisingly, Osteophagus possesses the most powerful bite in all of SNAIAD, capable of easily cracking open and consuming bones. These creatures are primarily scavengers, using their long, periscope-like first heads to locate carcasses and kill sites across the Thalassian plains. They have also been seen trailing larger Tromobrachids on hunts, waiting for them to finish before feasting on the remains. Another favorite food is the vomit piles of Amydromius, which they devour with particular enthusiasm. However, scavenging alone isn't enough to sustain them, and they often hunt small bounderjaw species or crack open the thick shells of thalassiochelid cannonballs like nuts. Due to their foul diet, Osteophagus harbors a host of contagious microorganisms around their arm jaws, which they can use like venom for hunting or defense. On occasion, however, they too fall victim to infections, and sick individuals have been seen chewing erythrophyte wood, possibly for its medicinal effects. Clues about the evolutionary origins of this remarkable group can be found on the island of Thalassia, located just off the Thalassian mainland. Extremely rare, with a population concentrated in a few valleys, Psittacocephalus captures small prey by smothering them with its chest-based second head mouth, which is lined with tooth-like projections and an early version of the upper jaw keel seen in more evolved Tromobrachids. Though it lacks true arm jaws, Psittacocephalus can still use its swinging arms as makeshift jaws by pressing them against its chest. Despite its primitive features, this animal also possesses several unique adaptations, distinguishing it as a sideline rather than an ancestor. Its head is equipped with a large, brightly colored beak, which males use in competitions to display sexual prowess. While its legs and feet appear similar to those of other Tromobrachids, they have a distinct structure. For these reasons, Psittacocephalus is classified as a separate species within the protobrachid clade, a sister group to all other Tromobrachids. The Spinostome clade is characterized by bristly, inverted second heads that function like blenders to break down food, with most species being predators. Once more diverse, including large predators and herbivores, their numbers have dwindled due to the rise of more advanced predatory and herbivorous lineages on the mainland, leaving them mostly confined to scattered land masses around Ocatera, western Vesterna, and Mapag. The red headbanger, the largest Spinostome on SNAIAD and the sole member of the Kinetodira group, is known for terrorizing the Ocateran plains, ambushing prey with powerful, hatchet-like blows from its massive head. Though primarily a predator, it has been observed eating plants and even using its spine-covered secondary head to snatch smaller prey. Despite its imposing presence, its complex hunting methods could not compete with the efficiency of fututars and kahydrons, which is why it is now only found on Ocatera, where competition is scarce. A smaller, dog-sized population also exists on the nearby Isla Silla. Silently prowling the gallery plains and citadel trees of the Ocateran Pinnacle Range, Pseudokahydron was initially mistaken for a true kahydron that had somehow crossed the Ocateran Sea. Upon closer inspection, it was revealed to be a remarkable example of convergent evolution, a Spinostome that had independently developed hoof claws and biting jaws similar to those of mainland predators, though with an inverted claw-hoof combination, no hydraulic jaw muscles, and a second head bristling with tiny teeth. While the larger headbangers dominate the red Aukataran plains, pseudokahydron is a more localized lurk and dash predator, waiting in the thickets beneath citadel trees before dashing out at prey on the plains. Its hind feet, equipped with fluid-filled pumper pads, allow it to sprint quickly, though only for short bursts, and it also hunts smaller, nocturnal prey at night. Distinct from other spinostomes, the herbivorous, armored, tree-dwelling spinosloths are a testament to the group's once great diversity. The last survivors of a lineage that included swift grazers and massive, horned browsers, these animals spend most of their time calmly feeding on foliage, hanging motionless from branches for hours, only moving their spiny mouths to extract nutrients from their tough diet. It's believed that about 3/4 of their lives are spent in this stillness. Although slow-moving, spinosloths can use their sharp claws for defense when needed, and in some cases, they have been seen using them offensively, with a related known to hunt and even eat young sloth snakes, possibly to reduce competition. Until recently, the hairy spinostomes, including Acanthosmus, were grouped with the lizard-like microspinostomans. However, recent fossil discoveries and genetic research have revealed the two groups have very different evolutionary backgrounds. While microspinostomans were more primitive and ancestral to many other spinostomes, Acanthosmus and its relatives in the Fibrospinostoma group are actually the degenerate descendants of the once mighty, giant spinostomes that went extinct 30 to 40 million years ago. A key feature of the Fibrospinostomans is their thick, hairy coat, which evolved from the fine hairs found on most SNAIAD land animals. These coats help protect them from the frigid temperatures of Notor. Oblivious to their unusual history, Acanthosmus cephra is an opportunistic omnivore, living in burrows and feeding on whatever it can find. It is a significant food source for local predators, including hull runners. While large predators like headbangers and not-hydrons dominate the spotlight, the majority of Spinostome diversity consists of small, harmless predators and omnivores, such as the lizard-like serrator. Forming the clade Microspinostoma, these creatures include over 200 species in total. Serrator hydrophilus, particularly adapted for swimming and hunting small prey along the Azonic riverbanks, features a flattened, paddle-shaped tail and a large, extended second head with a rosette of grasping spines. Its neck and back are adorned with detachable spikes of uncertain function. The first head is mostly reduced to a shriveled stalk in males, while in females, it swells dramatically during the breeding season to accommodate developing young. The microspinostomans are a diverse group, with both egg-laying and live-bearing species. Kahydrons, along with fututars, are among the most successful and widespread predators on SNAIAD, known for their hoof and claw forelimbs and a unique hydraulic bite that allows them to exert immense pressure with their first head jaws. This diverse group includes macropredators, scavengers, omnivores, herbivores, and swimmers, with kahydrons being exceptionally intelligent, possessing larger and more compact brain clusters than other animals of similar size, and some species even hunt cooperatively. While some Kahydroniformes, like Eurynyx, occasionally consume vegetation, Phytokahydron is the only species in the group that feeds exclusively on plants. As juveniles, Phytokahydrons resemble carnivorous young of other Kahydroniformes, with a beak and sharp hoof claws for biting, but as they mature, they switch to a plant-based diet, consuming fruits, leaves, and tough materials like sprog and bark, which they grind and process in a specialized sac in their first head before regurgitating it for further digestion in their second head. Unique among SNAIAD animals, this fake stomach is essential to their digestion, though pregnant females must rely on males for feeding, as they cannot use this system while carrying offspring. Although they may appear similar at first glance, this group of running predators is so distinct from other Kahydroniformes that SNAIAD zoologists classify them as a sister group to true kahydrons, or even as a separate evolutionary branch of predators that independently developed Kahydroniform-like traits, such as hydraulic bites. Unlike other kahydrons, xenodromoids have a single toe on their rear feet, a nearly non-existent tail, and their limb anatomy is adapted for running. They also lack the typical gular pouch for gestating their young, instead carrying their offspring in a unique sac that extends from the base of the first head, giving them their signature string-necked appearance. Howl runners are known for hunting fast prey across the vast temperate plains of Notor, with over 7 species, ranging from small forest hunters to sturdy tundra runners. Although commonly viewed as powerful macropredators, not all kahydrons are large hunters. In fact, most species within the Kahydroniform group lead more solitary lives, resembling the roles of weasels, stoats, and badgers from Earth's past, inhabiting thickets, burrows, or mountain ranges and preying on smaller animals. These creatures are often grouped together under the name Sordont Kahydroniformes. Sorokahydron, one of the largest members of this group, grows up to 3 meters or more and primarily resides in the erythrophyte maquis of the southern Neo-Mediterranean, stalking its prey in dense underbrush. Despite its size, its reddish camouflage blends it seamlessly into the environment. Unlike its larger relatives, it lacks specialized killing claws and instead captures prey with quick lunges of its elongated first head. It is also nocturnal, using enlarged heat receptors around its eyes to hunt in the dark. A separate, lighter-colored population of S. ileus lives in the Ankaranian desert. Although these desert and coastal groups can interbreed, they may eventually be considered distinct species. In SNAIAD, these creatures are referred to as hazals, and the term is used to describe exceptionally beautiful women with lean, dark features. Hidden deep within the Azonic jungle is a remarkable example of adaptive radiation. Resembling a twisted crocodile, this fascinating creature is actually a highly evolved, aquatic kahydron. Despite its large size, it is an elusive hunter, using its gharial-like jaws to catch small aquatic prey while carefully avoiding the aggressive Amazonian motor crocodiles that share its environment. Unlike the motosuchids, the crocahydron lacks jet propulsion and instead propels itself through the water with lateral undulations of its broad tail. Its strong, upright limbs, evolved from its terrestrial ancestors, function as paddles for stability and allow the creature to move efficiently on land if necessary. Though rare, crocahydrons are now part of captive breeding programs aimed at preserving their unique evolutionary legacy. Few SNAIAD creatures are more legendary than this terrifying predator, the largest on the planet at a mighty 17 meters long. By the plant standards, Horidon is a true dinosaur, for it is also one of the few surviving species of archaeognaths, ancient carnivores with more primitive jaws than kahydrons and their kind. Although superficially resembling giant kahydrons, Horidons are not really related to these creatures, having independently evolved the heavy jaws and the killing claws. They seem to have survived by the virtue of their sheer enormity, preying on the gigantor herds north of the Mediterranean. A smaller subspecies exists on the eastern plains, feeding on allotors and other large herbivores that live here. With its powerful, crushing bite and long, scythe-shaped claws, the Euronix initially appears to be a fearsome predator. While it does hunt and consume large forest browsers on occasion, the majority of its diet consists of forest fruits and plants. Despite its part-time vegetarian habits, the Euronix is more than capable of defending itself. In the vast Pontic forests, even deadly Barraclavus fututars steer clear of it, wary of its claws, which can easily disembowel an attacker with a single swipe. Euronix belongs to the allodont Kahydroniformes, a subgroup of kahydrons known for their unique jaw structure, free-swinging shoulders, and distinct foot anatomy. Though it includes peaceful omnivores like the Euronix, this group also contains fearsome predators, such as the bulldog-like pinchers. Known as the lions of Lebanon, these predators are commonly seen near human settlements throughout the Neo-Mediterranean. Like all kahydrons, they possess powerful jaws with extensive hydraulic musculature, which, combined with their extendable killing claws, gives them a significant advantage in hunting. The greater kahydron is particularly notable for its pack-hunting behavior, long, whip-like tail, and striking red stripes. With several related species, it belongs to the magnodont Kahydroniform clade, the dominant group of large game hunters on mainland SNAIAD. As apex predators, these animals often come into conflict with fututars, particularly the barraclavid Arbophobos mavricalos. Following the extermination of the latter in the Neo-Mediterranean, the population of greater kahydrons has surged around human settlements. Thankfully, they rarely pose a threat to people and show potential for domestication. Recent attempts at taming have had mixed results, but promising signs suggest success when raised from infancy. The comical-looking maskers are everybody's favorite mascots on SNAIAD. There are at least 6 species of these animals, out of which the Burtons is the most common and well-known. As a group, the maskers are descendants of vaguely sloth-like arboreal creatures. They live the borders of forests and grasslands, feeding on plants and small animals. Although the first dead specimens were thought to be fearsome predators due to their sickle-like claws, it is now known that these organs are only used for defense and food manipulation, and the peaceful maskers are anything but fearsome. In fact, these animals are one of the smartest on SNAIAD, and their innate sense of curiosity might even be bordering on a form of rudimentary intelligence. Given a few million years, it is not impossible for these beings to develop true sentience and a civilization of their own. Fututars, sometimes known as cattle-kais, are apex predators recognized for their unique, knife-like pelvic weapon used to inflict deadly damage. Appearing around 22 million years ago, they quickly became dominant predators on SNAIAD, competing with the equally well-armed Kahydroniformes and contributing to the extinction of many archaic species. Ifrigoid Fututoriformes are small, aggressive predators that bear a striking resemblance to oversized frogs, yet they are not amphibians. Unlike earthly frogs, these creatures are fully terrestrial, warm-blooded, and exhibit active metabolisms, though less intense than their larger cousins. The approximately 30 species of ifrigoids all share a similar hunting strategy. They remain camouflaged, waiting patiently for their prey to come near. Some species even employ their secondary heads as lures to attract unsuspecting victims. Once the prey is within reach, the ifrigs strike quickly, using the sharp, powerful thrusts of their pelvic spikes to deliver a lethal blow. Initially, ifrigoid fututars were believed to be the ancestors of all other fututars, but it is now understood that the true ancestors of the Fututoriformes were quite different. The line leading to larger fututars evolved to hunt large game, while the ifrigs specialized in stalking and ambushing smaller prey. The Flipsticks are peculiar, oddly proportioned relatives of the ifrigs and fututars, having undergone an unusual evolutionary path. Native to the recently isolated Midland, these creatures are distinguished by disproportionately large killing spikes that serve little to no purpose in hunting. In some species, these spikes can grow up to 5 times the length of their bodies, and their function remains unclear. While some flipsticks use their spikes to perform powerful jumps, others seem to display them as sexual ornaments, despite both sexes possessing them. Research has shown that removing these exaggerated spikes actually improved their hunting efficiency, suggesting that the large appendages may simply be an evolutionary byproduct that hasn't been selected against. One species, Megaphiloprion midlandicus, has been seen drumming its spike on the ground, possibly as a form of communication or warning. With its bright red coloring, it blends seamlessly into the red and orange erythrophyte maquis it inhabits. Although the majority of flipsticks reside in Midland, around 57 species are known, with some having spread to Oraland and the shores of Esterna via rafting. They feed on small animals, using the backs of their oversized beaks to kill, and their potent toxins ensure they remain safe from predators. The hussar is the only species of Xiphioclavid Fututoriform outside the Fututar genus, and has adapted to life in SNAIAD's unique pinnacle ranges. These ranges are characterized by vast, cathedral-like pinnacles surrounded by open plains, creating a mix of isolated jungle-like microhabitats and open areas where plains-dwelling grazers can live. Hussar thrives in this environment, using the pinnacles for shelter and hunting in the surrounding gallery plains. Its sword-like killing spike, which features an unusual kink, serves both as a weapon and a climbing tool. The hussar ambushes prey by swiftly emerging from the pinnacle's outskirts, running with its long, mare-like legs, and tackling its target in typical Xiphioclavid fashion. Once the prey is killed, it is carried back to the pinnacle, where the hussar climbs the tree-like structure using its kink spike and eats safely away from larger predators. Unlike many large Fututoriforms, hussar does not pose a threat to humans and often approaches them with cautious curiosity. However, visitors to the Vesternian pinnacle ranges are advised to avoid getting too close to these small but well-armed predators. Futator ventrophilus, a powerful, stealthy, and ruthless predator, is one of the most well-known species on SNAIAD. These creatures spend the majority of the day resting in the shade and become active in the afternoon, silently stalking their prey or waiting hidden in dense vegetation. When they strike, they quickly overpower their victims, subduing them before delivering a fatal blow with their scimitar-like, elongated killing spike. Afterward, the fututars retreat to allow their prey to die, then use their sharp beaks to slice the carcass into manageable pieces. The meat is then consumed by the creature's long, flag-like secondary head, which also plays a role in social communication, including mating displays and warning signals. Futator ventrophilus, along with its close relative Futator dominator, is found throughout mainland SNAIAD. Both species belong to the Ziphioclavid group of fututars, known for their sword-like killing spikes and disemboweling hunting technique. They typically target moderately sized prey and avoid attacking large, heavily armored herbivores to protect their specialized weapons. The largest futator on SNAIAD, the massive Barraclavid, resides in the frigid northern regions of Esterna. Unlike many other Fututoriformes, Barraclavis is better suited for running rather than stalking and ambushing, with a more rigid spine and legs of equal length. Like its Barraclavid relatives, it sports a long, shaggy coat to keep warm in the cold, and its large size helps conserve heat in the icy environment. This formidable predator primarily preys on the giant forest hadrons that share its territory. Beyond these characteristics, little is known about the behavior or lifestyle of Barraclavis. Its population is sparse and scattered across a vast, nearly inaccessible region, making it difficult to study. Evidence from robotic cameras and stool samples suggests that this giant futator may occasionally supplement its diet with small amounts of fruit or forest floor vegetation. While the fututars previously described have evolved to use sword-like killing spikes to slash their prey, Barraclavids are equipped with sturdy, piton-like spikes designed for tackling larger and tougher animals. Despite its name suggesting a tree-dwelling lifestyle, Arbophobos is an adaptable hunter found in a wide range of habitats, including pinnacle ranges, dry scrubland, forests, jungles, and sproglands. It primarily hunts medium-sized animals like xenosuids and numagazelles, but it will also take on massive herbivores like allosaurs when the opportunity arises. These deadly creatures target the herbivore's powerful front legs, using their spikes to pierce through thick muscle layers and hydraulic fluid, rendering the limb useless. Once immobilized, Arbophobos decides whether to kill immediately or wait until the herbivore succumbs. Once widespread across the Neo-Mediterranean, Arbophobos showed little fear of humans and caused significant losses among early settlers. This led to the Arbophobe Wars, where various methods like sonic irritators, chemical repellents, and even viral sterilization were employed to control the predator. Despite these efforts, Arbophobos proved to be highly intelligent and persistent, eventually prompting a concerted effort to drive it to extinction around human settlements, one of the few instances in SNAIAD's history where an indigenous species was deliberately hunted due to its threat to human safety. A descendant of old-fashioned herbivores, the awe-inspiring Titan air licker occupies a niche that is unique to SNAIAD, that of the large aerial filter feeder. With its slightly higher gravity, the buoyant atmosphere of SNAIAD houses forms of aerial phytoplankton that travel around the planet on prevailing winds. In the neckland region between the east and the western landmasses, such plankton-bearing wind systems converge, creating a density of aeroplankton that can actually sustain large animals, provided that the animals have the means to harvest them. With its inverted stomach branching out into hundreds of thousands of tiny fronds, the air licker simply licks the air to receive all the nourishment it needs. This passive feeding strategy has allowed it to attain a stupendous size, rendering it immune to the attentions of predators. These omnipresent foragers are found in forests of the entire western-eastern continents, where they are common enough to be considered a nuisance. One can scarcely walk without coming across a pile of their droppings, or seeing one browsing noisily in the undergrowth. The secret of these animals' success is their ability to eat everything and anything that they find in the leaf litter. A youngster they catch insects with their twig-like beaks, stuffing them into the true mouths on their second heads. As they grow, they graduate onto eating small vertebrates they snatch from their burrows. At any time, they can and do include soft plants, fruits, and larger animals' droppings in their diet. This creature shows enormous variation within its geographical distribution and may have to be split into several species after future studies. Pescidonts are closely related to Kahydroniformes but differ primarily in lacking the advanced hydraulic bite found in kahydrons, with their jaw muscles being more conventional. This adaptation limitation has led Pescidonts to thrive in a range of ecological roles, from small hunters and scavengers to snake eaters and herbivores. Initially mistaken for small kahydrons due to their tiny hoof and claw forefeet and quadrupedal gaits, Dextroglossos were later identified as derived pescidonts after dissection revealed they lacked the hydraulic jaws typical of Kahydroniformes. Despite their mysterious origins on the isolated island of Aar, whether they were already present when the island separated from Esterna or arrived later via rafting, these adaptable creatures are generalist predators, notable for their dexterous second heads, which they use to grasp objects, groom, and even create simple tools. This is a typical pescidont, though the term typical is relative given the vast diversity within this family. It moves on two long hind legs, while its front limbs feature spade-like claws for digging and grasping, and its jaws are slender and elongated, designed for snapping up fast-moving small prey. Its second head, long and extendable for its size, is still relatively small compared to other pescidont groups. These creatures hunt a variety of prey, from small trikes to larger chopsticks, and on rare occasions, aggressive berserker individuals have been observed attacking larger herbivores like pneumogazelles and roll pigs, though they also consume fruits and plants. Highly social, they typically live in defined family groups or tribes, where grooming with their second heads strengthens bonds. Naturally curious, pescidonts are unafraid of humans and often assist settlers by warning of danger or fighting off large predators, making them valuable companions and even pets during the Arbophobos wars. The hole-filled, mat-like layers of sprog are a unique type of vegetation found on SNAIAD. These spongy growths harbor a vast array of small to medium-sized, often serpentine creatures, providing a rich food source for any predator capable of catching them. On SNAIAD's mainland, small vermidont pescidonts like vermiphilia have adapted to exploit this resource, evolving long first-head beaks to probe the sprog for hidden prey. Their second heads are also elongated and snake-like, allowing them to reach deeper into the sprog to track down serpentine creatures. If these methods fail, the vermidonts use their hook-like claws to tear apart the sprog layers. Their specialized hips and the unique seesaw-like balance of their bodies and tails make the probing and dipping process more efficient and less energy-consuming. Over 100 species of these creatures exist on SNAIAD, each typically restricted to specific regions. On the isolated island of Thashian, the monoantherans snake-eaters have also evolved to resemble sprog probers, despite coming from an entirely different evolutionary line. Resembling a surreal mirage drifting across the sand dunes, this close relative of the common pescidont is one of the largest creatures able to survive the harsh conditions of the Great Ankarainian Desert. It boasts several unique adaptations for desert life, such as a tail for fat storage, long, heat-regulating flaps on its neck and back, and sand-resistant coverings around its eyes and dual heads. The function of the long, rattling spikes on its neck remains uncertain. They may help capture water from morning dew, serve as a defense against predators like dune fututars, or function as mating displays. Unlike many of its pescidont relatives, this species is primarily herbivorous, feeding on thorny desert shrubs and root-like growths that it digs up from beneath the sand. A giant among the Bomboiform pescidonts, this massive, heavy creature is essentially a larger version of its smaller relatives. It roams the plains, scrublands, pinnacle range galleries, and sprog plains, foraging for anything edible. Its long, spear-like beak, a remnant of its first head, serves both as a weapon for defense and as a sprog prober, similar to the beaks of its vermidont cousins. Males develop and shed antler-like hand claws, which can grow nearly as long as their beaks. Of the many Bomboiform species, B. maximus was the first discovered and is the only one to be domesticated. SNAIAD settlers originally used them as draft animals, but with the advent of cars and nanorail, they are now mainly bred by hobbyists and zoos. Notable human-bred varieties include the Smyrniote giant pumpkin and the dwarf tomato justers. These spherical creatures have long been classified in their own group, but they are actually a highly evolved form of pescidonts. Their first head faces are flattened directly against their bodies, displaying a condition known as primary acephaly, which is common among SNAIAD's large land animals. In this condition, creatures possess two heads but lack brains or vital organs in either. While primary acephaly typically occurs in rare, abnormal individuals, it has become a characteristic feature of the Bomboiform pescidonts. These animals are opportunistic feeders, consuming anything they can find, including small animals, trikes, plants, and carrion. Their second heads are greatly elongated, with jaw-like flaps and sensitive whiskers at their ends. Occasionally, they enter the water to avoid predators, which has led SNAIAD zoologists to theorize that their aquatic descendants, the marine Blumboameniformes, evolved in this way.